You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K23. I'm myself, Mo Moonsie, alongside me, the one, the only, Mr. BJ Armstrong.
I don't have nothing to say today. I don't have nothing to say. So
I have a lot to say.
I'm here, Mo. Thank you for allowing me to just come on the show. As I said yesterday, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm just going to repeat what I said, Mo. I can't bet against him. I can't. I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to let it go.
You are right.
Not about being right. I'm just saying what I know, and I'm just saying this. Reason and logic and conventional thinking would say whatever. I'm just going to let him be, and I'm going to say this. Until someone knocks him out. Until someone knocks him out, Mo, that's a champion. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this. There is a moment where when Steph Curry came out of the game and he went and high-fived everybody in the front of the bench and everyone behind the bench. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's what winning looks like. That's it. You got a visual. All of the other things, greatest of all time, no. That's what winning looks like. That's what you play for, is that moment right there. So that's it. The floor is yours, Mo. And I'm just here to support you because you know what? There's nothing else for us to say. That was a treat here on a Sunday afternoon. We had two phenomenal games. We had history. That was a history class right there in Steph Curry.
That was a historic.
Okay, that's, you know what I mean? I very rarely use this word. That was one of the most epic things I've seen in a game 7. That was an epic moment. That has to be. Is that the most points ever in a game 7? It has to be, right? Or it has to be up there. I don't know if it's a.
Let me find out.
But go ahead, Mo. It's yours. I've said everything I need to say for the rest of the show, so let's go for it.
Steph Curry scored 50 points. Okay. 7 3-pointers, 50 points in a necessary performance to lead his team through a game 7 in the first round. A lot of questions were being asked. They were saying if the Warriors crash out of the playoffs this year, they're going to break up the team. It's the end of the dynasty. Steph Curry turned up today and he said, not on my watch. Klay Thompson had an awful night, going 4 of 19 from the field. Andrew Wiggins went 5 of 16 from the field. Jordan Poole, once again, nothing, only 8 points. But Steph Curry said, don't worry about all of that. I got you. But do you know who was the MVP of this game for me, BJ? And it wasn't Steph Curry with his 50 points. It was the man. It was the man, Moses Malone. It was yes. Kevon Abdul-Jabbar. It was Hakeem Olajuwon. It was Alonzo Mourning. Kevon Looney, ladies and gentlemen, controlled the glass. 21 rebounds, 10 on the offensive glass. Absolutely dominated Domantas Sabonis, who is an all-NBA 13 player probably this year, an all-star in this league. He was decimated by the monster of Kevon Looney on the glass. And that, BJ, for me, was the difference in the game. The extra possessions generated by Kevon Looney, especially in that third quarter, it felt like every time the Warriors missed, every single one he managed to grab. I think the Warriors had 13, 14 offensive rebounds in that quarter alone. They controlled the game through that. And that alone, the physicality, the positioning, you name it, and he did it. It was a masterclass. I've not seen anything like that since, I don't know the last time I've seen a player have that kind of impact on the glass. Maybe Dwight Howard when he was in his prime, maybe Dennis Rodman. Listen, I know people are going to say Andre Drummond, but that does not count. That is not valid. So Kevon Looney, congratulations. Stephen Curry, congratulations. Draymond Green was put back into the starting lineup for this. I just checked the most points in a game 7. 50 points for Stephen Curry tonight. Kevin Durant had 48 points in Game 7 when he was on the Brooklyn Nets up against the Milwaukee Bucks. Dominique Wilkins had 47 against the Celtics. Sam Jones had 47 against Cincinnati. Luka had 46 in that Game 7 against the Clippers. And then the list goes on from there. So Steph Curry, one of the greatest performances we've ever seen. You know, he's an all-time great. I don't know who you got in your top 10, but he has to be in there. We're talking about a guy who literally put the team on his back in what BJ Armstrong described yesterday as one of the most hostile road environments. The cowbells were going, and he managed to silence the crowd by the end of the third quarter.
Incredible. Incredible.
We're watching history being made, like you said. And, you know, this win can give them the confidence. They got a tough next round against the Lakers. We're going to talk about that in tomorrow's show, but they got a tough next round. But when Steph Curry plays like that, I don't know anyone alive who could stop that man. It's unbelievable. With the ball, without the ball, defender hand in his face. Did you see the play where Harrison Barnes was guarding him and he pushed off the 6'9" Harrison Barnes to create the separation for the shot? The strength of someone his size, unbelievable. Like, I can't say enough good things about Steph Curry's performance. Let's get a little bit technical with it. In this game, you know, Domantas Sabonis finished with 22 points. He was looking more aggressive to score. And it's really interesting because they were matching his minutes with Looney's minutes. Steve Kerr made sure Looney was on the floor whenever Sabonis was on the floor. So in the third quarter, the Warriors made their big run. Then the Kings started to come back into the game, and Mike Brown didn't put Sabonis back into the game because he didn't want Looney to get back onto the court. That's how impactful he was. A team held their all-star out of the game because your center, I think he's like the 39th highest paid center in the league or whatever is making such an impact. Crazy. Absolutely crazy to me. The Kings were thrown slightly off rhythm. De'Aaron Fox, 16 points. Not ideal for the NBA's clutch player of the year in a game 7. He was thrown off rhythm by picking up 4 fouls early in the third quarter. So that kind of took him out of his rhythm, allowed the Warriors to make their run. But wow, BJ just, I don't have anything else to say. And you know, it takes a lot for me to not have much to say. It takes a lot.
What can you say? I mean, Emma, what can you say? It was simply a treat for all of us basketball fans. And if you just really want to see what preparation looks like, what perseverance looks like, what being prepared for the moment looks like, and I mean, to do that on the road in a hostile environment, right, is simply just it's just simply amazing. And I'm going to tell you something else. Steve Kerr, you know, some of these guys, Mo, are just, they really are amazing. They really are. Like,
we got to get Coach Kerr on the podcast in the summer. We have
no, Steve Kerr, no, seriously. No, Coach Kerr, I'm going to tell you something. His preparation for that moment, that team was ready to play, okay? Not only were they ready to play, Mo, one of the things I pointed out, I said, I'm going to look for offensive rebounding yesterday.
Yep.
And I'm going to look for turnover, and I want to look for turnovers.
And the Warriors finished the game with only 7 turnovers. Well, the Kings only had 8, in fairness.
I know.
But the Kings' turnovers were quite timely.
Yes.
The timing of those turnovers.
When you play on the road and you don't turn it over, Mo, and you offensive rebound, that's just
BJ, I got to stop you there. I'm a fan of the Boston Celtics. I don't know what that feels like.
Okay,
I haven't felt that since 2008.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But you know, like you know, like the kids today say, they're locked in. That team was razor focused. Mm-hmm. They came out, Mo. They had a plan. They dictated what was going to happen on the offensive end, the defensive end. And they played their brand. They played their brand. They weren't rattled. They took the crowd out of the game, and they just played. And Coach Kerr was on. Coach Kerr, that was a display of just pure coaching excellence. Like, when you say 48 minutes, your players are ready to play and your coaches are ready to coach, and it all comes together. That's what it looks like. Both teams, I mean, that was as well as a half I've seen.
That third, we always talk about it. Third quarter Warriors. It's like I tweeted during the game. There's death, there's taxes, and there's the Warriors making a run in the third quarter. Those are the guarantees in life.
And it wasn't so much a run where they came out and were executing. Mo, it was just a street fight. The team that came out in this series and who established they were the more physical team. That's the one thing that I always look for in a game or in a team, and in particular in the playoffs. You can't be the most aggressive team and the victim. You
Mm.
got to be one or the other. And the most aggressive team in the series won every game. And the Warriors, in particular, Kevon Looney, okay? Shout out to Kevon Looney. I have no more questions about Kevon Looney and what he does and what he brings. The man is an impactful player, and he's showing you how you can impact the game. You don't have to score 20 points. You don't have to have 15 assists. You can just come out, set screens, rebound the basketball, and have a huge impact on them. Because without every one of those rebounds, they don't win that game.
And he's only 6'9".
That's what I'm saying.
He's not a 7-footer. He's 6'9".
You know what?
30th pick in the draft. He's only making $5 million this year. That might be. He might be over delivering on his contract more than anyone else in the NBA right now.
Well, he that's a big time effort by him. He just always finds a way, and he just goes about his business. So great job by the Warriors. And you know what, Mo? I'm not going to pick against them. So if you're asking me who's going to win the next round, I'm just saying the Warriors.
We'll save the preview. We'll save the preview.
I'm going to save
the game.
But they're the champs, and they deserve that level of respect now.
I think,
well, not now, but they deserve it.
I think this is going to be the 22nd, 23rd time that LeBron and Steph have gone head-to-head in the playoffs, but we'll talk about that after tomorrow's games. We do have one more game from today to discuss. Speaking of elite coaching, Coach Spo, once again, climbing up the all-time playoff wins record book. Congratulations to him. Top 5 now. And then going up against Tom Thibodeau. And the Heat and the Knicks, game 1. What were your major takeaways from that one as the Miami Heat won on the road in another hostile environment, Madison Square Garden? Had a little injury scare for Jimmy Butler at the end, but he finished the game with 25 points. They got contributions from Gabe Vincent had 20, Kyle Lowry had 18, Bam Adebayo had 16. For the Knicks, on the other hand, Thibodeau went with a very shortened bench. Only 3 players coming in off the bench to contribute. Brunson, he finished with 25, Josh Hart had 10, RJ Barrett had 26, and Obi Toppin, replacing Julius Randle in the starting lineup, had 18.
Well, I must admit, I'm a little shocked by the Miami Heat. I just don't know how they're getting it done. I really don't. I mean, I am shocked. I mean, Mo, I know Jimmy Butler's a great player. But the whole thing, Kevin Love, Matt Strus, Vincent, Martin coming in, Gabe Vincent, and these guys coming in. I don't get it, Mo. I like Mo. I'm like, okay, those are good players. But Mo, they're getting it done. Okay, You're bringing Kyle Lowry off the bench. Duncan Robertson, who hasn't played all year, is coming in. He's one of the guys off the bench. I mean, Mo, they're basically doing this with like 7 players.
Yeah. Well, for me, Jimmy gets the headlines, but Coach Spo, I was really impressed with his coaching in this game. The defensive scheme they used against Jalen Brunson, who's been lining it up for the Knicks, it was fantastic, right? They guarded him with defenders that were bigger than him, Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, and he made sure that those guys were trying to fight through the screens. So they weren't going under, they weren't getting caught at the screen and trying to switch. They were trying to fight through the screens and stay with him. They had the big man dropped back because we know Jalen Brunson loves to get into the paint and either hit that turnaround shot. They were funneling the shots to the shooters that they wanted to shoot, right? The Knicks shot 7 of 34 from 3. They were ice cold. So RJ Barrett shooting 3s, 1 of 5. You will live with that. Obi Toppin hit 4, but he took 11 attempts. You will live with that. Josh Hart, 0 from 4 from 3. You will live with that. Emmanuel Quickly, 1 of 4 from 3. You will live with that. So by Jalen Brunson coming off the screen, you're fighting through it. You've got the wing defenders pinching in to kind of help and kind of dig at him a little bit while the player fights through the screen, and you've got your big in a drop. It really shuts down the options for him. And they turn the pressure up on that, especially in the second half. And they were turning some of those into traps, into a couple of double teams without having to go zone. And they didn't have to switch or anything. So it was an impeccable defensive scheme, in my opinion, which kind of shut down. Jalen Brunson finished with 25, right? But he could be a lot more dangerous than what the numbers alone show. So for me, that was huge from the Miami Heat. And also the play of Kyle Lowry down the stretch, hitting timely shots, especially after Jimmy Butler got hurt. He took the ball and he said, listen, I'll lead us. And on the defensive end, getting some steals, getting some, tying guys up where they're trying to get to the bucket. He had a sensational game, Kyle Lowry. That's what you bring him there for, his championship experience. And Gabe Vincent started off, I was a little bit worried. He started off hot. He hit the first few shots and then he got really trigger happy, but managed to get himself back on form, finished with 20. I was really impressed with the Miami Heat. And now they have the home court advantage in the series. The series has begun. As you say, it doesn't begin until someone wins on the road. And here they are. Yep. Game number 1.
And the first game is always, in my opinion, the toughest game. If you're going to steal a game as you start a series, game 1 on the road is the game to get. Why? Because it's a fill-out game. You're at home. Everyone expects you to win. You don't really know. You don't know the menus of the team. You haven't played. It's kind of like, it's like a hit or miss type deal. Mm-hmm. You get game 1, you feel a little bit confident because you say, okay, I saw this. I know what to expect. And then the series starts to kind of take shape and take form. Great job by the Miami Heat. I feel like I have to say this. I mean, they are shorthanded and they're winning. Coach Spo, what a game plan. He shrunk the court. And what I mean by that is every time, the kid Jalen Brunson, who had 25 points, and by the numbers, those are good numbers. However, those were a difficult 25 points for him. I thought they did a really good job of running him into traffic. He saw a wall being built up against him. Mm-hmm. They fought through the picks, all of this switching stuff, and you would switch. He put his best player on their best player, Jimmy Butler, to meet the physicality of the game. And they kept a fresh body on him. And every time he would get in the lane, there was always bodies there to meet him and greet him. So I thought that was a great game plan. Second half, to me, the third quarter is where they opened up the court. And then they wanted to get the Knicks' best defender, which is Mitchell Robinson, away from the basket. And they started utilizing him in screens.
By having Kevin Love out there and taking Bam off the court, putting Kevin Love out there, is only big. He's a 3-point shooter, which means Mitchell Robinson has to guard away from the basket.
Exactly. So that to me was a nice little wrinkle in the offense. And they gave them a third quarter. They had a really nice third quarter, Mo, talking about the Miami Heat. They had a really nice third quarter, gave them a little cushion. They got a little confidence on the offensive end, and they started making shots. Now, they were very opportunistic in the way they played today. They only ran when they got stops or turnovers. And then they tried to play before the defense got set up and good shots. And they did a really good job of that. So great win. I would think, Mo, at some point, depth is going to play a part in this series. And I think that favors the Knicks. Hopefully Jimmy Butler is okay, because that sprain or being
he turned his ankle
didn't look good.
I will say this though, Josh Hart on the possessions he guarded him seemed to do a really good job. He's got the size,
that's a good matchup. That's a good matchup for them. And
like,
I would
Jimmy
think
Butler only scoring 25 in the playoffs is a good night, given what we saw against Milwaukee.
Well, I would think as the playoffs, if this series goes 5, 6, 7, that should favor the Knicks. Now, clearly the Knicks, they wanted to win this game. However, I still feel that they have a great opportunity to, continue to play and to win this series. But if Miami keeps playing like this, even with 5 or 6 guys, okay, I mean, Mo, they're literally playing 5 guys over 30 minutes, and then whoever else is going, they'll play the other guys a couple of minutes.
I mean, Miami went 5 deep in their bench as well. But obviously having a lead in the fourth quarter helps you allow to bring guys like Cody Zeller into the game, right?
But give him credit. Give Coach Spo credit, give his staff credit, and that was a really nice win.
I think the adjustments we see Tom Thibodeau make are going to be really interesting. But tonight, BJ, we've got the other Eastern Conference semifinal tipping off. The Boston Celtics face the Philadelphia 76ers, and Joel Embiid, who probably will be crowned MVP on Tuesday night this week, is listed as doubtful because they think his knee is a lot worse than originally thought. Am I insane for thinking that Philly can still win a game or 2 without Joel Embiid?
No, you're not insane. You're not insane.
Because we saw the Hawks win a couple games against the Celtics, and they don't have a dominant big like that, right? They've got high-powered guards, so you've got Tyrese Maxey and James Harden. People forget who James Harden is in this league. He can get cooking. Tyrese Maxey, who's electric, and his speed and quickness is going to be a real problem, and they're going to target Al Horford, just like Trae Young did in the last series. And then Paul Reed coming off the bench. I know he's not a big name, but he can hold it down. Not saying he's going to give you what Joel Embiid gives you or anything close to that, but he can play his role effectively. I'm a little bit concerned that the Celtics aren't going to win this series. And Joel Embiid being out, a lot of Sixers fans are thinking that they're just going to get swept aside. But I think that the Sixers can steal a game or two without Embiid on the floor, because so far in this playoffs, the Celtics have shown us they are not a serious team.
Well, I mean, look, Bo, I mean, they lost one game. It's not like they went to game 7 versus the Atlanta Hawks.
They lost 2 games.
Yeah, but okay, they lost one in Atlanta. Okay. I mean, Mo, this isn't like the minor leagues. These are NBA players. Okay?
Yeah. But it's the way they lost them. Yeah, it's the way 2 minutes to go, we're just going to pass the ball to the other team. 1 minute to go, let me just throw the ball away against technical foul.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. But I'm going to say this. Okay, they lost the game. Maybe they felt they should have won. However, they took care of business and they went on the road. To me, that's always a sign of a good team. When you can go on the road, they won 2 games on the road in this series. Job well done. Okay. Now, maybe I missed something. Job well done. They were clearly the better team from the tip-off in this series. They were up like 30 or something in the game 1. They established what they could do, and you're always fighting human nature. That's the way this thing goes. Now, what I do know about this Celtic team is that they will respond to pressure. Okay. And right now, they are a team that I know will come out and fight. Now, I have no doubt about that. Now, would I like them to play a little less carefree than what their personality? Yeah, I would. But I have no doubt about it that they are capable of winning a game on the road in a hostile environment. That's one thing I can take that. I can take that one to the bank with this group. This is going to be a tough series for them because Doc Rivers, there's one thing about Doc I've always, besides being a terrific coach, as you know, Mo, I'm a Doc Rivers fan.
We know. You're picking the coach of the year.
He coaches when he's the underdog. He really, because he experiments, and I think. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering when, because he's always had, like, except for Orlando, he's had really stacked teams. So I'm trying to think when he's been the underdog in a series.
Okay, when he is able to coach with the team where he isn't expected to just, win, he always comes up with a really nice.
I guess, yeah. So when he was coaching the Celtics against LeBron's Miami, and
he always. And I think here, this allows him to experiment, because when you play with a Joel Embiid team, like if Joel Embiid only got 10 to 12 shots, the headline would be, why didn't you use Joel Embiid? Sometimes when you have a star player, I mean, it's not like you have a lot of options. You're depending on the guy to perform. And if he doesn't perform and you go away from him, and then people start asking questions. However, now we don't know how he's going to play without Joel Embiid. And to me, that gives him an advantage, because now, how is he going to use James Harden? How is he going to use Maxey? Is Tobias Harris going to step up? So to me, now he has a full repertoire of plays that otherwise he can't do with Joel Embiid on the floor. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So I think this gives him an advantage, because it may take 2 or 3 games before the other team adjusts, because they don't know how to defend.
They can't prepare because they don't know what's coming up.
Now you're talking. Okay. So now, but on the other hand, if they are able to adjust on the fly, and then they tell the team, and then that doesn't work, then that's a huge advantage for Boston, because they're like, okay, we took your best shot and we beat you anyway. And so it really doesn't matter. Yeah. So it can work both ways.
Yeah.
So I think
who are you
Doc
picking for
Rivers
this game
can experiment.
I'm
going Celtics. I'm not gonna shy away. Yeah, I'm picking the Celtics. I'm picking the Celtics. Okay, I'm just picking the Celtics for the series.
Well, real quick before we wrap up. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but I do think it's going to be competitive. But it's going to be competitive in a way that we haven't seen, because you're taking away the MVP on a team and then asking them to win a series. I mean, Mo, that's a big That's a big task. Okay, you're going to take away the MVP, and the Boston Celtics, they know that.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be fun. I think Doc Rivers has the okay, if you will, to really experiment. I think he could press. I think he could trap on defense. He could go zone. He could go isolation basketball now with James Harden. He could do a lot of different things that he just can't do with the big fellow on the floor. And it'll be okay because guess what? Hey, who's expecting them to win the series anyway?
Yeah, there's no pressure.
There's no pressure. So I think these guys are. I think that'll be fun for those guys.
Speaking of MVPs, I wanted to ask before we wrap up, who you got winning game 2 between the Suns and the Nuggets that goes on later tonight? Do you think the Suns have adjusted now to the climate and they can get cooking? Because you got to be concerned about them after game 1.
You know, well, I watched a little bit last night. I didn't watch the whole game again. I'm going to say this. I'm concerned now for the Phoenix Suns. I watched the game again, but I'm going to tell you why I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned. You know, Mo, every time you come into a series, I look for matchups. I go, okay, what's the matchup? You know, who you got to win your matchup, your individual matchup in the series, right? You got to win the collective matchup in the series, and you have to establish you are the most physical or the most aggressive team in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Some nights, Mo, you know, a guy like for instance, the kid for the Gabe, what's the
Gabe
kid's last name? Okay, Gabe Vincent. He gets what, 20 points. You know, I'm saying, okay, that's Quickly's matchup. Okay, we need you to we got to figure out how to do a better job on him. Okay, we have to figure out how to win that matchup. Okay,
yeah,
all right, we got to and we can make an adjustments. But Mo, it's okay to lose a matchup, but it's not okay to get dominated in the matchup now. And the reason I'm using that as an example, Mo, is the following. This kid, Jokic, he dominated his matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mo, I expect him to win the matchup, but if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I don't expect him to dominate that matchup. That's the first one. That bothered me in game 1. Okay. 2, Jamal Murray dominated the point guard matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, Mo, you understand what I'm saying?
They put Josh Kogi in the lineup just to guard him, and he still cooked.
Mo, he dominated the matchup. Okay, so you dominated the interior matchup, then you dominated the perimeter matchup.
And
then, Mo.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Because you're going to say the same thing I'm thinking. Go ahead, keep going.
And then the third thing, which they decided to do, was they said, we are going to attack Devin Booker. More or less saying, we're committed to you passing the ball. Now, Mo, we're going to live with Kevin Durant scoring, but we're committed to making you, every time you touch it, pass the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Mo, I don't know what that's going to mean for this team. Why? Because they haven't played enough games under this level of duress. Mm-hmm. They're going to get dominated at 2 positions that every game they probably are going to lose.
Yeah.
Then they're looking at they're looking at Booker and saying, Booker, we're going to force you to play make. And I don't know what that looks like or what that's going to look like for this team.
And even though they did let Kevin Durant score, you know, he got 29, he did have 7 turnovers. The Nuggets as a team only had 8 turnovers in total. Very uncharacteristic of Kevin Durant. The other thing I was going to say is Aaron Gordon as well deserves to get some praise because he played through stretches where his sheer physical dominance against the defensive players just willed him into scoring buckets. There was 2 possessions back to back where he just put his head down, got to the paint, and there was like 3 guys in there, and he just simply got a bucket. And it's just, I'm stronger than you, I'm quicker than you, so I'm going to score.
And I give him credit. Denver really came out with a focus. They had a focus in game 1. I'm concerned now, okay? Because I just didn't expect them to dominate those positions. Like, I expect if Phoenix is going to win, they're going to have to get a huge contribution at those two positions.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know, Chris Paul, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know he can't be dominated at that position. And DeAndre Ayton can't be dominated at the position. If Jokic gets 25 and 18, then this guy's got to get 18 and 16. Okay, you got to say, you got to make your presence felt. So
maybe a box out wouldn't
happens
hurt in this game, from DeAndre, and
something
is
gonna
maybe just instead of standing and watching, maybe just try on the offensive glass. Like,
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, well, we'll have another conversation about that if it doesn't change, because he did promise after game 1 to be more physical in game 2. So we'll see how that works out.
Right.
But stay with us, because we're going to be back tomorrow morning recapping the Celtics, Sixers, and the Nuggets versus Suns, as well as a preview for the upcoming games that this week, because we just saw Steph Curry's heroic 50-point game. He's going up against LeBron's Lakers on Tuesday night. So make sure that you lock in tomorrow morning for everything you need to know from around the NBA. Make sure you share the show with a friend, leave a review, leave a rating, and all that good stuff. And most importantly, like Chef Curry did tonight with 50, get buckets.